empowered to thrive. Are there any additional items for the agenda? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Laura Size, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Joni Olson. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Motion carries 6-0. Had to look to see who's here. Recognition of all visitors and open forum. There's nobody here, nobody signed up, so we will move on to positive recognition. Anybody have positive stuff? Laura doesn't have her notebook.
I do.
I have a couple things. Gotta find it on the right sheet. We have our Excel winners for the year. So our Excel winners are Katie Olson and Dalton Bauer, so congratulations to them. And then our AAA award winners are Luke Cahill and Ariana Aguilar. So congratulations to them for their great work and leadership within the JWP school.
Okay.
Took the one, but then the JWP Math League is still in second place after 3 rounds, so congratulations to them for keeping that up. And then Dalton Bauer reached 1,000 points in basketball the other night, so that's all I had.
Anybody else have any positive things? I'm positively grateful that the temperature went up a little bit. Okay, we will move on to the donations. So we have multiple friends and family of Darwin Lochner donated $360 to the Darwin Lochner Memorial Scholarship Fund. The Bulldog Backers donated senior banners, and the Bulldog Basketball Association has donated boys basketball warm-ups. So do I have a motion to approve the resolution accepting donations with many thanks?
So moved.
I'll second.
There we go.
All right. Dave?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Joni?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
And Sherry?
Yes. Motion carries 6-0. All right, reports and presentations. What's new in the world of students, Eric?
Okay. So I think everyone has seen that both boys and girls basketball has been going very well for this season, so we're excited about that. The new semester just started, so everyone's adjusting to their new schedules. Granted, it was hard because of the 2-hour late start, but you know, the chamber choir started this semester, which I personally am really excited about, and a bunch of others. A bunch of people are getting ready for the winter and spring overflow of honor bands and honor choirs and solo ensembles, stuff like that in contest. Speech is starting up. We have our first meet at Loyola, February 8th, I believe. And then the people who helped in the musical and stuff around that region are planning for a field trip to MSU's like theater workshop intensive that they do. And I think that's it from me, unless you guys have anything else.
I would just note that the wrestling team is doing amazing.
Hey, where are they at now?
Gosh, I don't know what their record is. I know they just won a tournament up at St. Clair Lutheran this past weekend, so.
And Keegan Kubal got 150 wins.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
I didn't see that one posted.
I don't know if it was or
Mhm.
not. I'm not sure.
That's probably like getting 2,000 points, right?
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big number.
Mhm.
And he might have 100 hens, or he's very close to it if he's
I
not
think he's-
quite there.
Yeah, I would guess he's real close to it if he's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, great job.
Very nice.
That's it? Any questions for Eric? All right.
Swing show?
Oh, yeah. Swing show's starting up. The theme is sing. So basically anything that you can sing from your mouth, you get to do, which broadens it a lot to have a lot more people interested in it. We've, I believe, doubled the number of people that have gone out. Actually, just recently, the soloists that auditioned were told that they got a solo. These people include, but not limited to, myself, Ariana Aguilar, Ava Apple, Derek Gustafson, Ethan Bourne, Isaiah Barrett, Lily Blazel, Traven Schultz. There's 2 others that I do not know yet. And then Ella Oliver and Ethan Bourne were selected as the top male and female auditioners. So
Wonderful.
And
that's
when
what
is
I
that? Is the date been set?
it has, but I don't remember it.
Alrighty. On to the superintendent report.
So for our strategic plan, we have our 4 categories. So for under student growth, achievement, and support, we have our solar project is in operation since December 23rd. We've saved 2,809 pounds of carbon emissions, which is equivalent to planting 21 trees. And then there's educational information on the TVs in the commons throughout the day. And then they'll be starting their curriculum within the science classes before too long. Also, we've had a couple very minor issues or some minor vulnerability with our Google Workspace. So Adam's been tightening that up, supporting the students with how they can become more cyber aware and secure with their Google Workspace. We've also applied for an FCC pilot program for cybersecurity. The federal government allocated $2 million to be used for this grant, and there were over $1 billion in requests. So unfortunately, we did not receive that grant. But in the meantime, Adam has started conversation with CISA, which is a federal agency for free threat assessments through cybersecurity. And then we're working on determining a plan for refreshing our Chromebooks this summer. And another thing for student growth and achievement is our Student Leadership Academy starts in February with level 1 and level 2 again. And Nikki runs the Leadership Academy. For staff support, we had our second unit of letters training last Friday. I was at MSBA conference, however, the reports I'm getting that the training went very well. Our third unit is on March 22nd. QComp's going well for their midpoint checks. Yesterday, we had professional development for a number of high school staff and a few elementary staff that are not participating in letters about data-driven decision-making and executive function to help them along in their learning. We're in the middle of pulling FAST winter fast data soon. So that will impact our spring plans and spring instruction for our teachers. And then with the, Mr. Demery working on his master's degree, the career and technical education will be covered. We'll be covering all of industrial technology classes, ag classes, and also personal finance classes. So some additional funding coming our way for that. In the past, with Mr. Demery's license the way it was, we could only cover his welding class. And now they've, with his master's, they've opened it up to the transportation and manufacturing, which is the woodworking and the small engines classes. So we'll be able to get additional funding for that. For communication, our district newsletter goes out tomorrow. Annika left everyone a copy of it at their spot tonight, so please go ahead and take a look at that. They're printed, sealed, ready to go. They'll be sent out tomorrow. And then for community engagement, you've probably heard that Governor Walz's budget was released late last week. There's some information about that from compensatory funding, which has to do with our free and reduced population. All of the COVID dollars are gone. So we'll be looking at that and how we transition away from having the COVID dollars, and then looking at our ADM for future. And then for community ed, we've had a couple new classes, or one new class start. It's called Super Saturday. It's a community ed class that this past weekend they had it down in Waldorf. Then in a couple weeks it's in Pemberton, and then there's 2 weeks it's here in Janesville. And this is for younger families that have anywhere from toddlers on up to just have an open gym time, a fun time, structured time for these kids to come in and families to play, especially when it's as cold as it is outside. And then also we've had some great, our advisory council for community ed has met, and they're coming with some fresh ideas and lots of energy. So Samantha is very excited about that. Then the only other thing that I have is the metal sculpture class did a great job at the MESPA conference last week. The keynote speakers were great at the conference. Breakout sessions are always good, and it is what you get out of them. And then I've had a lot of discussion both yesterday and today with Mr. Rysdam and Mr. Mateski, our tech director, about individual devices, the Wi-Fi password, and how we're going to work through that with all of the information we heard about and learned about at the MSBA conference. So, any questions for me?
Just a comment on the cybersecurity stuff. I don't know if anybody's talked to South Central Co-op, South Central Services Co-op, to see what they have for help too with the assessments and whatnot.
I'm sure he has, but I will double check with him.
And I did go to a session, and the guy there was saying how he's really been trying to push MDE to send out another grant, but they haven't done anything with it, so there might be another one coming if he can keep pushing them to do what he wants them to do, but it didn't sound so promising.
Right.
So,
Any other questions or comments?
After we're done with Jeremy, I just have one more question for Mr. Eric.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
I can go backwards. No, after we're done with you.
okay. Any other questions for me? Okay.
So at MSBA, we talked a lot about cell phone policy still. Imagine that. Don't mean to put you on the spot, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but could you just summarize what your thoughts are on how cell phone policy, device policy is just going at the high school at JWP right now? Share as much or as little as
Yeah.
you want.
I mean, my opinion is a lot different than most other students because like I'm all for it and I'm in the mindset that all of you guys are in.
Sure.
But I know that there's a lot of disagreements about it. I mean, I don't think it's that hard to put your phone away for 50 minutes, you know? But
So rather than just your opinion of the
Yeah.
policy, how do you think the policy is being followed? You know, maybe more objectively, just, does it seem to be working?
when teachers honor it and uphold it and like crack down on it, then yes, it works. But when they get lenient on it, or if they think like, because there's more teachers that are more relaxed on it than others, so people try and get away with it as much as they can and all of that. But
So you'd
It's-
say devices are still being utilized during instructional periods?
from first semester,
Hmm?
I wouldn't say, like, I've never seen it come out during instructional time or anything.
Okay,
It's just whenever there's independent work time or stuff like that, or at the beginning of class before class is like fully started, more of that. I feel like people are attentive during the instruction time and then they just don't utilize their work time efficiently.
okay. Then one more question for you. You do eat lunch here?
Yes.
What's lunch like for high school as far as cell phones go? A lot of people on them, not on them, don't have time to be on them because they've got to eat. What is cell phone use during lunchtime like?
For more of the upperclassmen, like 10th grade and up, I've seen it's a lot more socializing with people and less on their phones. I know I'm hardly on my phone at lunch unless it's like the last few minutes. But the younger classmen, the ones that have like a lot less self-control, sometimes it's very hard to watch them try and play video games on their phone while eating, and it just gets disgusting at points. But I mean, I don't think it should be a talk of removing phones from lunch, but you know, for the people that are more talkative and have more friends in their lunch, you know, they're more socializing and stuff like that. But I mean, if I was in a lunch where I had no friends to talk to and sat by myself, I would be on my phone too, you know. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else before we move to budget information? Okay, we'll go to enrollment update.
So here's our enrollment update. We are up a number of students. Preschool, or early childhood special education is up 5. And the others, first grade is up 3. We did have another first grader start today. So, which has been a good thing. So we are up at that pre-K through 12 is that 677 number. So it's a good thing when we have
Bless
new
you.
students starting.
Any questions? Okay. Move on to the historical cash balances. Any words of wisdom?
Nothing new.
Nothing new, but she did talk at the cabinet meeting the other day that hey, be conscious of what you're spending your money on, so.
Committee reports.
We haven't had any.
So, number 9 is just the acknowledgement of resignations. Shannon Nava, Kim Scott, and Colleen Collins Madsen. And then we move on to the consent
Can I
agenda.
speak about
Yeah,
that real
where-
quick?
Yeah, what does
Sure.
that put you, where does that put you with paraprofessionals? Was you, because we have them last month too?
Did we?
I feel like we did. We had one.
I know we were, one time we
Oh, we
were
had
fully
one,
staffed.
we did have the one pass away, and we had this
then-
one,
Okay, I thought there was a resignation
So-
too, but, okay.
no.
So we're
So
down.
we are
Down.
down, but, we're making it work, we're covering, we create vacancies in, every day for those positions to get them filled.
Yep.
So, we do have a good group of younger adults that are in college or, it works into their class schedule where they might be able to be here certain days a week to, help out, so, which has been great. Especially for those that think they might want to go into education as a profession. And one thing Sherry and I learned about at the MSBA conference is that we don't accept resignations, we just acknowledge them, because we're not gonna stop somebody from resigning a position. So, they did recommend that we take it off the personnel staff changes and just put it in the agenda as a acknowledgement of a resignation.
For the Paris situation, if I could just talk about it for a little bit. I've noticed, at least in like the junior high level classes, that I know I even got talked to about it today, that there's not enough paras for certain classes, especially on the younger side, because I know I have 2 TAs, one for 8th grade and one for 7th grade, because both of them reached out to me and said that they needed help and they couldn't find it anywhere else other than a student. And now today I got asked by a teacher that I already TA for if I could occasionally come in and help out during one of my PSEO hours, because they used to have a paraprofessional and a TA in that hour, and now they have no one but themselves.
This is the first I'm hearing of it, so I would suggest you stop in and talk to Mr. Rysdam about it.
Okay.
Let him know the concern and let him know which teachers are
Okay.
reaching out, so.
Wouldn't the paraprofessionals have to be servicing students that qualify for special
Yeah,
education
they have,
services?
yeah, they do.
So if there aren't any in those classes, that might be why there's not a para
Mhm.
in that particular class.
Yeah, because typically,
Possibly.
they have to have somebody on an IEP
Okay.
in order to service them, so.
Okay.
But if there is and they're not getting service, there's, should be a reason why, whether it fits into their.
Okay. That's just what I was told, because in one of the, like the class that I was asked about today, I was told that the class has multiple IEPs and like things for helping learning and all of that, and it's just the teacher, no TA, no para.
And I don't disagree with what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm just bringing it up.
Yeah, and I would say just because a student has an IEP, doesn't always mean the student needs a para
That,
either,
yeah.
so. But, yep, so that's what I would reach out to Mr. Rysdam and to see what he has to say.
And it might just be an interesting class size based on need,
Yep,
just.
and the start of a second semester, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else you wanted to talk about with that?
Nothing for me.
Okay. So we move on to the consent agenda. Is there anything that needs to be removed from the consent agenda?
Just had a question.
Okay.
How does lane changes affect somebody resigning? Just, the Kim Scott requesting a lane change, but also resigning. how does that impact anything?
She had requested the lane change and was approved by Jeremy before the resignation was submitted.
So does it still go through? And does that affect anything long-term?
No, not long-term.
Okay? So it doesn't mean much,
It impacts her pay short-term.
just for this next,
Yep.
okay?
Okay, any others? Then do I have a motion? Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Kevin Bourne. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Laura Size. Let's see. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 6-0. So final reading and the approval of policies with huh?
That's part of the consent agenda.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh, it is. Never mind. Okay. It's on another page, so wasn't quite there. Okay, we're on to old business. Discussion and approval of cubicles in the meeting center.
Okay, before we even get into a discussion about this, Wendy and I sat down and had a long talk today and have discussed whether this is the best use of our school district dollars right now, taxpayer dollars right now. And what we would like to do is we would recommend that we table this indefinitely while we do a little bit more work on it. We'd like to create a cubicle space within this area and give it a try first before we go out and spend $25,000 to $50,000 to see if it's even gonna work. We sat down with Mike Dashner, I sat down with Mike Dashner later in the day today and went through it with him. We have a plan of how we could do this to make it as realistic as possible. And I talked to the individuals about it to kind of run the experiment for us to see if it will work or won't work. And it will still allow us to create that lactation room that is our ultimate goal, and have enough work areas for everybody in the building.
Okay. Any questions on that?
No, I'll make a motion to postpone indefinitely.
Okay, motion made by Laura Size. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Tony Olson. Is there any further discussion?
Just remind me who, 357, who would likely utilize the
Well, we-
cubicles?
We'd be moving Nancy into a cubicle, Savannah into a cubicle. We would have a couple cubicles for teachers if they needed a quiet space to go during their prep time, because a lot of the high school teachers are doubling up during prep time in the same classroom. It could be used for a single PSEO student if they need to do some work in there. If we were to have a situation where we have in-school suspension, we may need to use that space for that. So, but I feel like it would be best if we run this experiment, try it, and see, is it gonna be too loud in here with cubicles or not? Does it work or doesn't it? And kind of move on from there.
And kind of where in this space would it
We
go?
would be going back here.
Okay.
Just for the experiment,
For the experiment, but
Right, 'cause
chances are that may be where we would put,
some of them.
if we decided to put permanent ones in, that would probably possibly be a place to put permanent ones in also.
So it wouldn't take a ton of the larger area.
Correct.
It really would fit in quite well, easily.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's a good idea to test it out and give it a run.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 6-0. So then we are on to the final reading and approval of a policy with substantial changes, which is the attendance policy. I did notice there have been some changes.
There's been one. The only change, so we met at our organizational meeting, went through it all. Then I went back to the committee. The only additional change they asked for or recommended was for, I gotta think about it. It is unexcused. Unexcused absences, no, unexcused.
Is it the unexcused tardies? Did we add in the within 10
No,
minutes
it's
of
right
the
here.
start of the day?
Yes, we added that in.
Okay, I didn't know if we did or if they did.
No, because we made it match the other one. It's right here where absences not reported by custodial guardian by the start of the school day for all students in grades pre-K through 12. In the past, it's been 7 through 12 is by the start of the school day and 9 a.m. for elementary. They would like to make it just across the board by the time school starts. So that was their recommendation.
And it will be okay if the parents contact this classroom teacher, they could just forward that on.
They can
'cause
forward it on.
Typically, they might do that
Yep.
first before
They,
the office.
a lot of times they do, and we
Yeah.
ask the teacher, we ask parents to contact the office. If they don't, and they contact teacher, we ask the teacher to send it back, or send us an email with it.
How, what happens if the teacher's gone that day and the parent messaged them, but you don't obviously have the email now to the office?
I would tell you that even though when a teacher's gone, they check their email and they would
Oh,
forward it on
they
to
will,
us.
okay.
Yeah.
Even, it might be later though?
It might be
and
later, and we would,
You'd still
we'd
excuse it
call,
then? Or you'd-
and they may
yeah.
say, I emailed the teacher,
Okay.
and then we would excuse it.
Yeah, so it might start off as unexcused, but you'll change it then
Yep.
if you figured out,
Yep.
okay.
I do have one thing in number 1, B. So it says, to be considered an excused absence for an appointment, the student's parent or legal guardian are required to verify through a provider the reason for the student's absence. So, I guess they can verify I'm trying to, how to interpret that sentence. Because if they're verifying through the provider, they already know the reason they're at the appointment, so. Or am I reading too much into this, and everybody else understands it?
Well, is your concern about asking about the reason and the school needing to know the reason, or what?
Yeah, I mean, because we took out in writing, so, I mean, so is it just you guys are asking the parent?
Yes.
Okay,
If they call in and say, I have an appointment today, okay, do you have a dentist appointment? Do you have a doctor's appointment? What?
okay.
Because if it's a nail appointment or a tanning
Right.
appointment, then it's
That's unexcused.
unexcused.
So they must need something from the provider, though, even if it's not in writing?
They do need to bring a note back from the provider.
So
where-
it doesn't
why
have
would
to
they-
state specifically why they were there. Like if it
Doesn't s-
comes from an orthodontist.
Yeah,
you
it just
should be
says
good,
that they were at
right?
at my
From the
dentist,
dentist,
at
it's
the
pretty clear.
orthodontist from this time to this time. or-
So why is in writing
Yeah.
crossed off then?
Yeah, that doesn't make it very
Or
clear. I
could they
think you would
email
want to
it or
keep
call
that
it in?
there.
I don't know what the provider, that's the only method I've
To
ever
be
seen.
considered an unexcused absence for an appointment. The student's parent or legal guardian are required to verify. I honestly can't tell you why they have in writing crossed off. We can take that and put it back in writing. Take that strike through out, that's up to the board itself. But when they're asking for a note to come back, then, yeah, they would need it in writing.
But an email would be acceptable. That would also be in writing.
Correct.
From the provider or just from the, because are they looking for, if there's an appointment, they have to have something from the provider saying they were at the
They bring a
appointment?
slip, and then Janice codes it, or, well, Joyce will be, I guess, a slip and file
Mhm.
to indicate that they brought a slip in and the appointment is excused.
So it could be an email from the provider.
Is there a way that the, like, orthodontist, for example, would be able to just like call the school and say, hey?
Any
this
way to
person-
communicate with us that they were there.
Is that why?
They're
it
not
got
gonna
taken
take time
out
Usually
to
they
then?
do
just
that.
have like a
They'll just have a-
standard thing
Right.
that they
Yep,
just write down
they'll
the
sign
time.
it,
So I
sign your
feel
name
like-
to it and hand it to you and you'll be done.
Yeah, I think that's,
Cause like a verbal call wouldn't be considered in writing, you know, but if it's still accepted, that might be, I don't know.
I've only
Just trying
experienced
to
the in
debunk
writing
it.
Yeah.
one when I've subbed in there, but
Yeah, I guess I don't know if we need to reword it so that they know that they truly have to bring in a note or an email.
All we'd have to do is take the strike through out. Like that.
Then the only other things that I have are, like this one is entitled excused absences and tardies. And then if you scroll down, then you've got consequences of excused absences. Should it be consequences of excused absences and tardies?
It has the consequences down here.
Okay. Okay. That's all I found. Okay. So then, so then with that, do I have a motion to approve policy 503?
so moved.
Motion by Jody Olson, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Laura Size, is there any further discussion?
Can I add to this?
Mhm.
This will go into effect immediately, so, I drafted an email that will go out to parents, and then we'll send, or, link the policy into that, and that will get sent out, so they have an opportunity to read it as the semester started today, so.
Is
Yeah.
the, oh, go ahead.
if it matters at all, that that's not under B, that it's its own.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying, it's a formatting thing.
Is
Should-
the vacation checklist complete?
Vacation checklist is complete, I have it. I can get it to you. And then, the college visit form is complete also.
Okay. And they know, like, when somebody calls to
Mhm.
give it to them? Okay. Okay.
Yep,
And we addressed the Nikki stuff, or what?
Yep.
Okay.
it's in there, it's under,
Nope, no problem.
Okay.
I just
yep,
asking that it was addressed.
yep.
I wouldn't remember the full conversation anyway.
Yep. And Nikki actually emailed me today asking me for the exact language. I emailed it to her and she's updating her handbook with the exact language from the policy.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second, right?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries 6-0. Then we have a couple policies, there's second reading of them. They're gonna be approved at the next one. Any question on those? Okay. We'll move on to new business. So we have the Minnesota Pay Equity Report.
Do you want me to talk about that?
Yes.
Okay. Every 3 years, public entities, governmental entities need to submit our employment data with some demographics and pay information to the Minnesota Management and Budget Division. And so there's this whole calculation. Once I put in all our information, we take a look at the statistical analysis test and see if we are compliant or not. That first one, letter A, underpayment ratio needs to be above 80, which we are. So then we can go down to number 3, the salary range test, and that needs to be either 0 or above 80 to be compliant, which we are. And then number 4, the exceptional service pay test needs to be either 0 or above 80. So again, it's appearing as if we are compliant in our pay equity across males and females in job classes, availability for raises and things like that for our district, which is good news. So as soon as the board approves this, and I submit the implementation report, which is already also linked there, MMB will take a look at it, and they will determine if we are indeed compliant, and they have the final determination. And if we're compliant, then we do nothing. If we're not compliant, then we need to make some plans and actions to take a look at our pay scales and our pay policies and just ensure that we get to be compliant. And this is something we do every 3 years, so.
Is this the one where it has the graph that shows like, it's the line where it shows all the dots of where
Yep,
everybody's at?
yep,
That's what I thought.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So any questions or?
And that's just looking for anomalies, both directions.
Right.
It's not like
right.
just one direction. It's,
Exactly, yeah.
if females were paid way more than males, it would show a
Yep,
negative as well.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay, do we have to approve each one, or is this just one thing?
Nope, just approve the compliance report is all. I would request that we could submit that and that the board has seen it and acknowledged it and approves our, I guess, trust me that I entered the data correctly.
Any other questions? Alrighty, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll motion.
Motion made by Dave Olson. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Laura Size. Any further discussion? If no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 6-0. On to the 2025-2026 school calendar.
Okay. This has been a hot topic. So every so often, or every 3 years, we go through and create new school calendars. We have a committee of 7 people that work on the calendars and create them. This year, we had 5 calendars created, sent them out. We found 2 mistakes on a couple of them. I met with the union about it. They said, correct the mistakes, resend it out, allow staff to go back in and change their vote if they choose to. We did that. When it came right down to it, there were 3 calendars that stood out. Calendars B, C, and D. Calendar B had 17 votes. Calendar C had 21 votes. Calendar D had 20 votes. And then so we have, they're close with their votes in there, and having 5 calendars, there were a little bit of complaining, grumbling that that's too many, it spread the votes out too much where we couldn't get a good idea of if there is truly a standalone calendar. Well, we like to be able to make a recommendation for a calendar. However, that's what it is, as a recommendation. The board gets to choose the school district calendar. It doesn't mean that they automatically take the one that the staff votes on. So through some more discussion today with the union about this, we sat down and I talked with the 2 union presidents, and we talked about, okay, are there certain things about each calendar that we like or don't like, that fit well or don't fit well? So we looked at all 3 calendars, and I'll pull them up on the screen too. So in calendar B, one thing that is tough is, and thinking about families and how things work, is Christmas, winter break. We're coming in for 2 days. It doesn't leave families with a lot of travel time. Then we would be coming back on January 2nd. And it's a workshop day, so the teachers get to do what they feel they need to do. However, when you have a workshop day at the very end of a break or the very beginning of a break, it tends to be not a very productively used time. So a few concerns about this calendar. The one great thing about this calendar is the purple staff development days are spread out quite a bit, to give plenty of time for the letters training and training in between those days to get completed. So that's a great thing, some positives and negatives. Calendar C, kind of that same thing. This is the shortest calendar we have. We have a full Christmas break. We have 2 days at Thanksgiving. And then we come back to a staff development day after the first of the year. So like I said, that's not a great productive day, tends to not be a great productive day. And then our training from January to February is really close together to be able to get all of the information to the staff to get their trainings done for that. Nice part is, it's done the end of May, or before Memorial Day. So goods and bads about that one.
Which one's more structured, workshop or development days?
Development days are structured.
Okay, purple is
Purple is structured.
structured.
Yep,
Okay, thank you.
yep. And then calendar D, kind of has a mix of them. 3 days at Thanksgiving, the Christmas break is the same. It does have that development day coming back after Christmas, or after the new year. And then these staff development days are 1 each month. So that turnaround is quick to get all of the material in for them. So thinking about that, this one also has a full week spring break in there, which we could debate positives and negatives for that. Coaches would say they don't like it. Students may say they like it. Families, who knows what they'll say. I have my own opinion on spring breaks, but that's my opinion, and I'll keep
Actually,
it to
for the
myself.
students, it'd be a week plus 2 days. So it'd be,
No, it'd just be the 30th through the 3rd.
well, they're off
Well,
the
they would have
27th and they're off the 6th.
No, those are the beginning and end
Oh,
of the
those are
quarter.
the, okay.
So
Get my
they'd be
colors
off the
straight.
28th
Yep.
through the 5th
Get my
is what
colors
they would be.
straight there.
Yep. So, as we went through them, talked about them, their votes are pretty close. Out of the 81 votes, those are a majority of the votes. So I asked for some direction from the union. And the union said, we really like certain things about the calendars, and we don't like other things about the calendar. And they want to think about families, they want to think about the staff and the students. So they said, can you take a calendar and kind of put all of the stuff we're looking for into one calendar and make it all work? So today I took some time and created a calendar that gives the full 2 weeks at Christmas, gives the 3 days at Thanksgiving. The staff development days are spread out, and we would be done with students on May 29th. Teachers would come back June 1st, and then they would have the rest of their, then they would start their summer break after that. So it's not the shortest one. It does match up with being the longest one. When I think about families and their needs, there isn't a spring break, but if a family's gonna take a week's vacation, they're not gonna typically plan it around the school calendar. They're gonna take it whenever it fits into their schedule, and financially it fits into them. I think about SAC starting the summer. We typically take a week off and start the second full week of June for SAC. If we're done on the 29th, that means families are only responsible for finding daycare for 1 week rather than 2 weeks if we were done the 22nd. So thinking about a lot of different things, this calendar has not went out to the staff because it was developed today with guidance from the union. They have, I did take it to one of them at the end of the day and said, here, I just finished this. Do you want to look it over to make sure it fits everything? She looked through it, said, yep, it fits everything. The spacing on it looks good for our staff development days. So take it to the board tonight, and the board can decide what calendar we go with. Yeah, I did make copies of these. You can, I'll pass them out. So I'll leave it up to you guys. We would like to get it approved as soon as possible, because this is what holds up registration for high school students in the future, because the calendar has to be done in order to move forward with it.
Are we just doing one a year? 'Cause I know
We're
in
gonna
the
do,
past we've done
we're gonna do
3.
this year's right
Okay.
now.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna pull the calendar committee back together, because there's some things we need to discuss about professional development days in the future years.
Okay.
Because we won't have all of the letters training that we need to do. So we'll have to make that decision on how we're going to work those days.
Okay.
So just remind me, why is staff against spring break?
Some are, some aren't.
Okay.
Some really love it, some don't.
I mean, I polled a few families because I'm not going to have any kids, so I have no personal opinion. But 4 out of the 5 I polled wanted a spring break. It's not something they usually get, and they always wondered, why don't we? But 4 out of the 5 wanted a spring break, a week. But again, I have no,
I know Tim Elke had heard concerns about daycare during that time from some families.
Daycare,
so-
sports,
no, I'm just
yeah.
Was that, did you say parents or students? I didn't.
parents of students that would have kids in school.
Okay. 'Cause
But I'm just surprised that people don't want a spring break.
from the student's perspective, from what I've seen, everyone really likes Christmas break and wants to have that as long as possible. And then come around springtime, they're so close to school being over that they're just like, they would rather get out of school earlier than normal than take an extra week off in the middle. Plus, I've heard a lot of things about how people really enjoy having 2 days off at the end of each quarter rather than just one as well. So that's just what I've heard.
Nope, that's good input. Thank you, Eric. For me, it doesn't matter. My kids aren't in school any longer. I schedule if I'm gonna go on vacation, I schedule it around when it works for us, not necessarily around the school calendar, so.
I definitely think the 22, 23 type thing, with Christmas being on a Thursday this year or this next year, I think that's a great idea. I mean, I was gonna vote for a calendar that had that no matter what, because those 2 days prior to are pretty tough days as well, as far as productivity.
Right.
So I think having a calendar that ties your 2 weeks at Christmas, I think that's smart. No matter what. And then as for spring break, again, I have no personal,
As a parent's
Opinion.
perspective, I would rather see them be done before Memorial Day than go after Memorial Day.
which Memorial Day is when again?
The 25th.
25th.
So that would be,
Doesn't seem like they get a lot accomplished for them a couple days after having a weekend, and then they go a few days and then they're done with school. That's what I see.
I would agree with what you're saying, but those days happen whether it's before Memorial Day or after Memorial Day,
Yes.
so.
Is there a reason why there's one?
Yeah, just to make that work, and thank you for bringing that up. In August, we would have the week of the 18th through the 21st, we would have one workshop day. And the way we've worked that in the past, or the way we've done a workshop in the past, is we allow the teachers to flex their 8 hours however they need to that week. So they're not everybody wouldn't necessarily be here the same day. We would start all of our staff developments that, as whole groups, would start on the 25th. But the week of the 18th through the 21st, they would be able to flex that time however they needed to, or however it worked into their calendar.
So they're kind of getting a little bit of a spring break in March on this then, right? Because are they off on the,
Well, they'd
26
be
and
off the
27.
26th, 27th, 28th, 29th.
mm-hmm,
And then
And then a week later, they get.
a week later, they got the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th.
right,
So the 5th would be Easter. April 5th would be Easter.
yeah.
So it's 3 partial weeks in a row.
That's good. Yeah.
It'd be one,
Because you got a 3-day
Correct.
week
Yeah.
and then 2 4-day
Yes.
weeks.
Yep,
it'd be a 3-day week, a 4-day week, a 4-day week.
yep. Yeah, it's just not around Easter like it normally is well, I guess it's 4 days off, no matter which way you look at it.
Right, it just happens
Yeah.
to be the way the quarter
Yep.
falls to have
yeah, you've got
as
Good
equal as you
Friday
can.
and
Yep.
Easter Monday.
The Wednesday before Thanksgiving, I think about me personally on that one. I used to travel a lot to Illinois for Thanksgiving, so having that travel day in there was nice to be able to get away for an additional day if you do travel. I know there's a lot of families that don't travel also, but if you're hosting or doing something, it is nice to have that time.
You said C was the top voted calendar for ones that.
And that got 21 out of, yes, that one was 20, D was 21, sorry. C was 21, D was 20, and B was 17. So those were the top 3 votes of the 5 calendars we put out.
So those of you with kids still in the district next year, what What do you, what's your opinion?
This looks good to me.
Which one?
This new one, yep. Yep. I feel like it most resembles D, and that was the one I was kind of more looking at. So. Now, if you're in New Richland, you gotta fit 5 more contact days in there.
Yeah.
Then it becomes tricky.
What's that for the,
There's 5 extra student contact
You
days.
do
We have
extra?
173.
okay,
Mhm.
got it.
Yeah. No,
I
think
guess
this
I
is
went,
good.
I had voted for C because, well, one of my kids graduates next year, so they're done on the 22nd, and having the other kid have to go back to school, it's kind of unfair, but that's what it is.
That's what is
So-
fair to the senior, they get done
Well,
early.
that's right, yes, they're done early.
So will they be done
They
even
like that.
earlier? I mean,
Seniors,
typically, right, you give seniors even before the,
Don't they go till the end?
they go to the end, because they do.
They do
like-
go to the
They
end.
go to they'll have their senior class trip like, Wednesday or Thursday before. They'll make sure everything's finished up, grades are in like Wednesday by 4 o'clock. Senior class trip is Thursday, and then graduation is Friday. So Friday, they come in, we go through rehearsal for graduation, and then they do a cookout down at the back of the school with,
okay,
Mr. Demaray
So
and a
graduation.
few other teachers.
If you went with this, graduation would be the 29th.
Graduation would be the 22nd.
Oh, it would be the 22nd?
So they are getting out early.
They are
then.
getting-
They are, yes, sorry,
Yeah.
graduation would be the
On
22nd.
this calendar?
Yeah,
On this
messed that
calendar.
up.
Okay.
That's
So they
what it
would
says
be
on
done
it.
a week early.
So they would be done 4 days before
Yeah.
the senior, or before the other students.
well, 4 school days, but 5 calendar days. Right, they're done on the 22nd versus the 29th,
Yes,
but there just happens to only be 4 days of school.
that week.
Mhm.
Yep,
So the seniors will be done the 22nd and everybody else the 29th.
yes.
And is that the same way on D,
D, yes.
or C, I mean?
C is not. C is everybody's done on the 22nd.
Okay.
So with being done on the 22nd, everybody, does that hinder your staff for getting ready for graduation in that route versus if the complete school is done? Is that
I would,
having issues
no, I
with
don't think
getting
that,
ready for graduation?
I don't think that affects it one way or another.
Okay.
So why did they not want C?
Some don't want C because they prefer an extra day around Thanksgiving. They didn't want to come back for a staff development day on January 2nd. And the staff development days between January 2nd and February 16th are so close together.
Is there a schedule that has a more balanced contact days for each quarter or semester? Because I see like the one that you handed us, semester 2 has 4 more days than semester 1 does. Is that, I guess I don't know, is
We
that
try
normal
and keep
for
it as close
most?
as we can. 4 days isn't a lot because typically if we have a snow day, it comes in the end of January, February timeframe. So we would have it then.
Okay.
But it doesn't, there are some that are balanced. I think calendar B has 42 days in every quarter.
Okay.
And C is 41, 42, 43, 42.
Yep.
And so for like this year's calendar, the seniors will graduate the 23rd and then the rest of
Yeah.
the kids will be done the 29th. So that's kind of.
Correct. So this year's, yeah, this year, the seniors will be done the 23rd, and then all the other students are done the 28th.
I think a lot of the seniors look forward to that. Don't they, being done early before everybody else?
I think
The
about-
teachers with the mixed
I don't know that
classes,
they-
The
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that?
Some do, some don't.
Yeah.
Last year was weird. Like the last week, especially for the classes that were majority seniors with a few juniors, like
Oh, I
my
bet.
fundamentals of speech class. The last few days, it was like just 6
Crickets.
juniors, and we did nothing
Because the class is technically done because they had
Yeah,
to grade the
yeah.
seniors.
That's
Right,
true.
but we had track and field day, or we had that fun day then, that next week
Yeah.
and stuff. So there are things for the students to do. It may not be all academic, but
Yeah.
some of it's team building.
Do you need to include the new teacher workshop?
New teacher will just put at the front of whichever calendar we choose on. Because a lot of times we'll talk with the new teachers and figure out what days work best for them,
Okay.
so.
And did you say you were in favor of C? That's the one you,
Me, I was looking at D more.
you were looking at D
Yeah.
more?
Personally, but.
Okay. I mean, again, a calendar that has everybody done the 22nd, boy, that's tough not to want to go after.
Did some not like it because of daycare in the summer?
Yep. Well, they think if my kids go to SAC,
It's
SAC
an
starts
extra
the
week to pay.
second week of June, that means I gotta figure out daycare for 2 weeks for my kids.
You
What's
wouldn't
that?
start SAC sooner if the
I-
school's
it
done?
would, we'd have to figure all of that out, because a lot of it's moving, where we have to move classrooms or what we have to do with that. So it's possible we could.
Well, the only reason it might be possible is because you've got all kids done.
So you'd have the
Right.
26th.
I mean, that would be, because
29th.
if you've still got kids here, yeah, I can understand
Then you
why
can.
that would be very difficult. But if you did C, I would think you could then move it up because everybody's done the 22nd. And that could
Would
eliminate.
everyone be
I
done, or
thought it
would
was
the
more-
seniors be done on the 15th?
Everybody.
Everybody would be done.
Everybody's on the 22nd.
I thought it was more that you don't wanna pay for an extra week, cause that'd be a longer summer then. That's what I was thinking, they maybe didn't like.
Well, it is a longer summer, so you do
Yeah.
have one more additional week to pay for, too.
I don't have any kids to worry about, so it's not,
Yep,
I don't know. And I suppose you want us to make the decision instead of asking for.
oh yeah, we can make the decision.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's not a
I
problem.
know, I'm
it's
just
your,
saying that.
it's your guys' decision. I'm just bringing information forward.
It's hard when it doesn't affect me though, is why I have a hard time voting on it.
That's why you get paid the big bucks,
I don't-
to make the tough decisions.
Yeah.
So does anybody feel strongly?
I mean, you're feeling though this is what the union would want to go mostly with? Maybe. It's too hard because it's all the different votes,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I don't know.
If we wanted to, or what we could do, is I could throw this new calendar in it, or talk to the union, throw the new calendar in it, and have them re-vote, and whatever they vote with is the calendar we go with next time. That's up to you guys, how you wanna handle that. Then I could do that, or we could make a decision tonight, or,
Unless somebody feels strongly about everybody being done on the 22nd, does anybody feel really strongly about that? If not, I would make a motion to approve your E,
This one?
the one that you've presented then.
Calendar dash.
If no one feels strongly about being done on the 22nd. I mean, that's a pretty exciting thing, but if nobody feels strongly, let's just go with the one you just came up with.
is that a motion?
It is.
Okay, a motion to approve the calendar that Jeremy handed out.
I'll second.
Second by Laura Size. Is there any further discussion? If no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, on to approve the updated cybersecurity response plan.
Okay, so I did share this with everybody.
Yep.
The reason I didn't link it in here is because it is a confidential document. Adam brought it to my attention the other day, and I said, can you have it by Monday's board meeting? He said, sure. So he got it to me. He did tell me that the only update they had was just updating the individuals within the plan. So it's updating that I was superintendent and that Mr. Mateski is the director of technology and integration, and Mr. Rysdam was the high school principal. So it's just updating the individuals that were in it. The content behind it has not changed.
I would make a motion to approve as written.
Okay, motion by Kevin Bourne. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Laura Size. Is there any further discussion? If no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 6-0. So our upcoming meetings are February 10th is a regular meeting. March 3rd is a study session with the curriculum and instruction presentation. March 17th is a regular meeting. April 7th is a study session with a finance and operations presentation. And April 21st is a regular meeting. So with that, we will adjourn at 6:41.
Honestly, every one of these looked 18. 5 extra days. We don't get the next day.